You ever bolt awake in the dead of night and realize your hands just don't move like they used to? House is silent. Something's off. And for the first time, you catch yourself staring at the pistol on your nightstand, wondering if you actually trust it. Years ago, you didn't think twice. Slide, grip, sights, everything felt like second nature. But tonight, your fingers feel slower, grip's not as sure, and even the simple act of racking the slide has you hesitating. It's a gut punch nobody warns you about. Guns don't get older, you do. And suddenly, all that confidence turns into a question you can't shake. Most shooters never talk about this. Nobody wants to admit what aging does to trust. That's why I pulled together the only list that doesn't punish you for getting older. Stay to the end, because I'm blowing up some sure thing picks, and what I found might save your life. There's nothing fancy about the Ruger Security 9, and that's the first reason it stands out. I've kept this pistol in a drawer for months, no cleaning, no special prep, sometimes forgetting it's even there. But when I needed it most, hands stiff, fingers slow. The Security 9 never once pushed back. The slide isn't feather light, but it doesn't punish you for having less grip strength. I've woken up at night, cold or sore, and still managed to rack it without a struggle. Controls are spaced out, nothing tiny or clever, so you're not fumbling or fighting arthritis, just to hit a safety or drop a mag. The grip shape isn't flashy, but when your hands feel numb, it still gives you enough hold to stay in control. I've used pistols with stiff springs, tiny switches, and they all felt great on the counter, but turned on me when it mattered. The Security 9 doesn't demand speed, strength, or perfect technique. It lets you focus on what's happening, not what's in your hand. Boring? Maybe. But when everything goes wrong, boring becomes survival. For me, that's the kind of confidence you only get from a gun that forgives you for not being 20 anymore. There's a reason the Beretta 92 FS stayed in my nightstand when everything else cycled out. Most pistols made me work for every inch of slide. Felt like arm wrestling a machine, especially after midnight with cold hands and adrenaline burning up whatever strength I had left. The Beretta was different from day one. The slide's wide, ribbed, and the mass isn't just for show. It makes racking the gun smooth, not a wrestling match. I've run it after weeks of neglect. Hands still half asleep, and never once did it bite back. The levers are big, spaced out, nothing to fumble or miss, even when your fingers are numb or stiff. That's rare. I trusted the 92 FS because it never punished me for getting older. The recoil spring is balanced. Not light, not heavy, just honest. If you're worried your grip isn't what it used to be, this gun gives you leverage, not attitude. Even after a rough night, you find that slide, rack it, and know the next step will work. Plenty of newer guns failed me when it counted. Tiny slides, sharp edges, too much hype. The Beretta just did its job quietly every time. That's why it never left my side. My old friend Charlie never missed a Saturday at the range. We go back decades. But it wasn't range days that taught him which gun to trust. It was nights at home. After he hit 60, his hands started betraying him. A few years back, there was a break-in on his street just 2 doors down. Charlie reached for his old favorite, the pistol he'd trusted for years. But that night, everything went wrong. The slide wouldn't come back clean, his grip slipped, and after 20 nervous seconds, trying to chamber around, his hands were done. The gun didn't break. It just demanded strength he couldn't promise anymore. Reliable on paper, but under pressure, it punished him. He swapped it out for the HKU SP 9mm. Big, heavy, a grip that let tired fingers settle in, and recoil that didn't torch his wrist. He ran dry fire drills at home, tested reloads in low light. No more excuses. No Advil needed after a rough night. The USP never made him question if he could defend his house at 2 a.m., so Charlie kept it in arm's reach. The USP never gave him a reason to swap again, and the next pistol on this list? That one breaks the rules in a way nobody expects. Last year, in Arizona, I spent a few nights at a friend's ranch. The kind of place where dark means your eyes never adjust, no matter how long you stand outside. He had a table full of pistols, but I noticed only one ever stayed within arm's reach of the back door. His CZP-10C. That seemed odd considering all the fancier, pricier guns nearby. When I finally asked, his answer didn't come with a sales pitch, just a story. One night, something set the dogs barking. My friend grabbed for what he thought was his go-to pistol and realized it wasn't loaded. Another was buried under gear, another locked up. Adrenaline made every motion clumsy. Only the P10C was there, ready, slide easy to rack, even with shaking, numb hands. He said in that moment, nothing else felt trustworthy. Grip fit his palm, sight stood out in the dark, no safeties to fumble, no confusion. When real trouble showed up, only the P10C acted like it wanted to be used. Ever since, that gun's never left its post by the door. But I catch myself wondering, what if his hand had landed on something else? Sometimes survive in the night is about grabbing the one gun that never needs excuses. And trust me, the next gun on this list, it's proof that even the best intentions can leave you one step behind when it matters most. I almost wrote off the M&P 9 2.0 full size like every other solution pistol. My hands had outgrown slick frames, controls I couldn't trust at midnight, and triggers that left me guessing. For months, this gun sat ignored in the nightstand, collecting dust with all the others that promised to make things easier as I got older. It looked just as bulky, just as awkward, until the night I actually needed it. I woke up to a crash at the back door. Palms sweaty, heart hammering, every finger stiff as a board. The first pistol I grabbed slipped in my grip. The second had a tiny slide that fought me. I reached for the M&P out of frustration, already bracing for another letdown. Instead, the grip locked into my hand like it was built for it. Slide serrations bit down, trigger broke clean with no guesswork, and recoil disappeared into the frame. For once, I wasn't fighting the gun, I was just using it. Most guns reminded me of what I'd lost. The M&P didn't. It stayed where my hand found it without thinking. And standing there in the dark, I realized something uncomfortable. Some guns don't fail loudly. They just quietly stop being the ones you reach for. There's a security guy I've known for years. A little younger than me, not a bragger, but the type trusted with the keys to someone else's castle. He worked nights for one of those estates you only see from a distance, paid to keep trouble out. For him, the P226 wasn't just a badge. It was survival every night on the job. It saved his life once, pinned down in the driveway by a trespasser. Heart pounding. Backup too far. The Sig did what it was supposed to. Never jammed, never hesitated. He kept it close after that, right by the entryway, swearing nothing felt safer for the house. But I started seeing the signals nobody else did. Each year, his hands flexed a little slower. Every long shift, he'd quietly work his wrists and stretch his fingers, never complaining. One night, standing in his kitchen, he tried racking the slide cold. It came back halfway, slipped forward, and he had to reset his grip to finish it. He laughed it off, but I saw the pause. The gun didn't fail by breaking. It failed by asking for strength he couldn't always promise on demand. You can trust a gun with your life for years and still wake up one night unsure if it will answer the way it used to. Sometimes survival isn't about what proved itself once. It's about what still responds when your hands don't. There's a Walther PDP sitting on my friend's nightstand, right where his service pistol used to live. He's an old Nevada cop, never one to fuss over gear. But I noticed that gun the first time I stayed over. He could have kept his old duty sidearm at arm's reach, but it's locked away now, collecting dust and stories. I asked why. He just shrugged, then told me the truth that hits every one of us sooner or later. After a few decades on patrol, you trust muscle memory more than brands. But the night he needed his proven piece, all he got was a fight. Slide stuck. Trigger felt like it belonged to someone else. Nothing working the way it did at 25. Standing in his own hallway, sweat on his palms, house dead quiet, he realized most of what's trusted at work won't do when it's just you in the dark. He swapped it out for the PDP the next day. The difference was immediate. Slide moved easy, sights jumped out in low light, grip settled into his palm with no effort. No reminders of age, no questions, just readiness. That Walters never left his nightstand. Sometimes, the hardest truth is that your best protection isn't what you carried the longest. It's what forgives you for getting older. Most folks lock away their memories and keep what works close. But there's always one more surprise. Pistols that prove themselves when nobody expected, and you earned a place in the house for reasons you never see coming. The night that made me trust the Glock 19 Gen 5 wasn't anything I planned for. House was dead quiet, clock somewhere after 2, and I heard the old front latch rattle. Hard enough to yank me out of bed, half awake and unsteady. I didn't think about specs or brands or whatever new pistol I'd been eyeing that month. My hand just went to the Glock, same way it always has. Slide, mag, trigger, all right where memory put them. No searching, no thinking, just moving. I've tried chasing the new stuff. Friends parade their latest carry guns. Loaded up with features, talk about innovation like it's insurance. I've brought a few home, dry-fired in the dark, tried to learn new controls and safeties, but in the real moments, the ones you don't plan for, when adrenaline's burning up your grip and your brain's playing catch-up, familiar wins. Every improvement I tried just added questions when all I needed were answers. The Glock 19 Gen 5 isn't fancy, but has never asked me to relearn what my hands already know. It doesn't care how old you get or how many new guns walk through the door. That's why it stayed on my nightstand. Through every trend, every age, every close call. Most home defense guns aren't failing because they're junk. They're failing because nobody built them for older hands. I figured that out the hard way. For years, the Taurus G3C was my standby. Cheap, familiar, always seemed ready. I never doubted it, not once, until the night everything in the house felt just a little off. Nothing dramatic, just a feeling. Went for the G3C and suddenly the slide fought back. Mag wouldn't seat. Everything awkward like my hands belonged to someone else. Age sneaks up on you, and so do the things you can't trust anymore. I didn't go shopping for the GX4 carry to be impressed. I grabbed it because it was on hand, half expecting another letdown. First rack, it moved easier than I remembered any compact ever feeling. Grip felt slim, settled into my palm, controls right where my tired fingers could reach. It didn't make me feel young, it just stopped making me feel old. The big names stayed in the safe. The GX4 carry, that one earned its place on my nightstand, not because it's perfect, but because it forgives. Home defense isn't about nostalgia or price tags. It's about finding the one gun that doesn't punish you for getting older, just stands ready when everything else is given up. The truth's right in front of you now. Most home defense guns don't fail because of brands or bad luck. They fail when the shooter gets older and the gun refuses to cut any slack. I want to hear from you. If you're over 50, what actually got harder? Slides, triggers, reloads, trust? Drop your story below. No internet heroics, just the ugly truth. And if you're one of those online experts still talking rounds per minute, here's my challenge. Try running your favorite at 2 a.m., stiff hands, no glasses, adrenaline high. See how it feels then. Next time, I'm naming the guns that win every argument on paper and still let you down in real hands. I'm Steve. Don't trust your life to marketing. Trust what actually keeps you standing.